This is Drew with Boomer Music Company, your band and orchestra experts since 1976, and thepodcastingstore.com, the one-stop shop for all things podcasting and remote learning. This is your weekend update. Well, greetings and welcome to your weekend update. And if these surroundings seem unfamiliar, they are. I was not anticipating still being on the road at this point when I'm recording it. And there's actually a running theme to this week's weekend update, which is kind of, for lack of a better term, disaster preparedness and being ready for whatever may happen. I was supposed to be back in Colorado by now. I'm not, and I didn't really pack for being gone this long, but I still want to create content every day and release it out to our channels and deliver that to our audience. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was a piece of content that I did, which was talking about sharing content. I always try to create as much original stuff as I can, but some days things happen that you can't. Although actually each week I always share a meme, which is not original. So I kind of outlined the 8 pieces of content that you can share that are not original, that you did not create yourself, that's going to keep your audience engaged and it's going to keep you going ahead. And spoiler alert, there is one that I actually used this week, and I'll get to that at the end. But here's a clip from that video explaining what those 8 pieces of content are. It doesn't go into detail, the video does that, but check it out. What I want to talk about today is the 8 things that you can share that's not original content. So it's not a video that you created or a podcast that you made or anything like that, but it's content that's out there that your audience would find valuable. And so here are the 8 things, and I'm going to go over these in detail, that you can share. So we've got podcasts, we've got websites, we've got useful videos, book reviews, articles, product announcements, awards and recognition, and memes. So let's dive in on this, because I've used every single one of these at some point or another, and I know you can too if you're really trying to get out there and stay in front of your audience. So if you want to get more in depth on those, watch that video. I think there's a lot of really valuable stuff that you can be doing to continue to engage your audience. This week's essay over at the Podcasting Store Medium page was a story back when I worked at the caterer in high school about using a floor buffer. And every time I used the thing, I'd grip it with my hands, it would come out of my hands, spin around, smack me in the shins, and nearly break my shins. Not a pleasant experience. Well, as it turned out, the problem I was having I didn't realize was a problem because I didn't know that there was a better way to do it. So this essay kind of examines the topic of challenging your preconceived notions of whether or not there's a better way to do something. I think it's also an amusing story because, I'm past it. I'm not still hurting myself on a floor buffer. So check that out if you haven't yet. I think it's a pretty great read, even though I wrote it, of course, but I still think it's a worthwhile read. And then another video over from the Podcasting Store was about mobile content creation. Now, I had this one in mind before traveling to begin with, but it became even more applicable. And I'm talking about how easy it is to create mobile content and how little gear you actually need. And so I've actually got 2 video clips from that this week. And the first video clip, I'm talking about how it needs to be portable. So check out that clip. So as any of you parents out there will know, the best stroller is the one you're actually going to use. You can get this big behemoth that's 30 pounds. If you're not going to take it with you, it's kind of a useless piece of gear. So that's part of what we're trying to do here, is to make sure that the gear fits in a small bag. And I just keep this right in my rucksack. So this stuff literally can fly with me, travel with me wherever I go. So that's the fundamental tenet from it, is making it portable but effective. So the first piece of gear that we used on that was the Hercules DG2. And yes, in that video, I do go in depth on the gear that I use, and I'm actually using it right now. So if you want to see how I'm doing this mobile content creation out in the backyard from a picnic table, all the gear is outlined in that video. But I also gave a little bit of a sneak preview in that video of how I deploy that gear and how I use it. I don't normally show that because, frankly, it's hard to capture that angle because you're using the stuff, so showing how you're using it is hard. But here is a bonus clip from that video, kind of showing a little bit more about the setup, and I'm using that setup right now, so check that out. Does that. And so you can see the actual setup that I'm using here. So here's the Stream Deck, and that I've got all the buttons programmed on here, and that's what's switching between the scenes. And then I've got the Rode. This is the part that's going into the computer, and then here's the transmitter. So if I took the transmitter, I could walk away with that, no problem like that. But the only thing that I've really added to this that I wasn't using before is basically the computer and OBS, so that I can record this live, or I could live stream it or anything like that. If I'm just on the go and I'm creating content, I can just use my phone. I can record it into that, upload it later, that's fine. But for the style of what I'm trying to do, I know I get a little more complicated with it, but I want it to be a little more polished. I also want to do a little less work editing afterwards. And so what I was alluding to in that video, if you haven't seen it yet, was I kind of walked you through starting with just using your iPhone and then adding a sound system onto it, the wireless, and then using a phone holder and all that. So check that out. I think there's some really valuable tips there for creating content on the go. And then burying the lead, we've been nominated for an award. And this goes back to what I was saying with 8 pieces of content you can share. Well, we've been nominated for an award, and we need help from you, the viewers and listeners and readers and everyone out there to win it. Boomer Music has been nominated for Best Music Store in Fort Collins by NoCo Style Magazine for 2022. We've won this one in the past, and it's a huge honor for us to win that because it's really reaffirming that we're on the right track with what we're doing. So follow the QR code, vote for us. Thank you so much for that because we really can't win it without you. So please do that. We'd really appreciate it. So that's our theme week from getting stuck where we didn't expect to be, but still creating valuable content every day. If you found some value in this, leave me some comments. Let me know what I left out, things that you would add in the future. Like, share, subscribe this video plus the other ones in the channel, and we will catch up with you next time.
If you enjoyed the Weekend Update, do me a favor and follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channels, or visit our websites. This is Drew with Boomer Music Company and thepodcastingstore.com. Thanks for listening.